Good evening, everybody. We are so excited to have a couple of guest speakers on with us tonight with our Team Endless Possibilities team call. I'm Mandy McTiernan, two-star vice president with pawTree, and today is August 29th. And our special guest speakers tonight are the Camachos. We have Alyssa and Omar, and they are serial entrepreneurs. They have hosted over 125 plus events, helping tens of thousands of entrepreneurs scale their business. They host anywhere from the #1 business mastermind to entrepreneurs focused around their community, as well as even building an insurance company. They're always setting the standard for helping entrepreneurs scale and grow. And we are lucky enough to have them on with us tonight. So please give a warm and loud, if you want to come off mute, welcome to the Camachos.
Woo! Hey, everybody. Thank you, guys. Thank you, ladies, for having us on. We are so excited to be here. And it's so funny how things always work out in life. Right now, you guys are probably one of the first people to ever see us coming live from a garage. And that is simply because we've been in Utah the entire month. We decided, our kids, some of you guys may have heard, some of you guys we don't even know, and I'm excited to get to know you guys, but we moved to Florida in March, and our kids were like, we miss grandparents, we miss grandparents. We're like, you know what, let's take all of August, let's come into Utah, spend all of August in Utah, hang out with grandparents, family, friends, and everybody. And this garage is the quietest place in the house because kids are, let's just say they're having too much fun, which is what you're supposed to do on
it's like
vacation.
The end of summer. If you're a mom, you know what we're talking about, okay? Yeah. End of summer, kids are crazy.
Yes, they're trying to get the most out of the summer. And so we're coming to you live here from the garage. But here's one thing that we do want to do. And some of you guys, how many of you guys know who Alyssa and I are? Just give me a little hand wave. And how many of you guys throw up a number 2 if you have no idea who we are and you're just like, but you're excited to be here.
I love it, Amy.
Amy, I love it. And Linda, I got it. So we're super excited to be here. Here's the thing that we want to do, and this is kind of one of the promises we want to make to you. We have an hour here, so we're going to go quickly. So make sure you have a pen and paper ready. Wave your pen and paper if you guys have a pen and paper. Perfect. Okay, yes, I love it.
Woo!
And then I think it's being recorded too, so good. But our goal here is to give you guys 3 things that you're absolutely going to use that's going to help you grow and scale your business. And today's focused around sales, but there's certain things you have to think, certain things you have to do, and certain things you have to say that, if done correctly, will dramatically increase the amount of people you're able to help, which I know a lot of you guys are. Actually, I'm pretty sure every single one of you is here because you care about animals, and animals can't speak for themselves. Okay, they don't have human voices. They can't say, hey, the food you're giving me is no good. Please get me something better. And that is why you guys have a very, very important job, is because you're communicating with pet owners, people who consider pets their family members, that can't quite communicate with their animals to find out if what they're giving them is actually helping them or hurting them. And that's why today is going to be super, super valuable and super powerful for you guys. If you take what we give, I promise you, you guys will have massive, massive results. So let me know if you guys are excited by waving your hands or dropping it down in the chat and saying you guys are excited. Awesome. Okay, so we're just going to dive right into this. Here's the thing. Normally, we break everything down into a couple of days, and we said, you know what? We're going to trim it. We're going to trim it as much as we can to give it the power punches, okay? So these, instead of, how in boxing and stuff, people go jab, jab, power punch. No, these are all straight power punches that if you use, they're extremely, extremely valuable in what you're doing, and they're going to help you. So first of all, we're going to start with your confidence. Here's the thing, sales, and we're going to go quickly through this, and I'll probably take maybe 5 minutes on this next piece. But a lot of you guys know that people are way more likely to buy from somebody who's confident than somebody who's not. Because at the end of the day, people are buying your confidence. If they believe that you believe that you can help their pet, you can give their pet better nutrition, you can help extend the life of their pet, you can help them get rid of certain things, and you're going to make their pet a whole lot better. As long as they believe that you believe, they're willing to take a chance. Okay, so I'm going to give you 5 things that if you want to dramatically increase your confidence, which there's been studies done that show confidence and income are directly correlated. If you increase one, it'll increase the other. Okay. And so I'm going to give you 5 things to do. And I use these on a daily basis. This is what I share with my clients that, pay $10, $15, $25,000 up to work with us or work with me or anything like that. I have them on something like this. So I'm just going to give this to you guys, and I hope you get the most out of it. I hope you take this and run with it.
And before you actually say, I want to add this, because this is, when he says we do this with our clients, it's not just clients. Like people, we help people learn how to become speakers on stage. We do so many different things in so many areas. And the first thing we always teach somebody is this. And so when we say we're teaching this first, we're going to go quick because we do want to get into the sales part of today, but I want you guys to understand how valuable this is. And just talking about it from our journey, when we first started into personal development, because we didn't start in entrepreneurship, we actually started in personal development for fun. We were both the highest paid employees at 2 different individual companies. I was making the most, he was making the most. We're like, there was really nowhere for us to go. So we started going to personal development stuff, and our income grew and it grew and it grew. And so this is that personal development piece that we applied before we knew anything about business, and we got results jumping into the entrepreneur space, which is a story for another day, you guys. That was a bloody, crazy road. You guys know what it's like if you've ever left a job full time and like that had good income and then like dived in, right? It's insane to do that. But this is the foundation of everything. We always come back to this. We have all of our clients on something like this. Speakers on stage are like, how do I do this? It's like, we've got to raise your confidence, because if you say something, if you're confident about it, people will listen. They might be like, yeah. They're like nodding their head, understanding. They're super excited to work with you. And then you might have to tell them again later, because maybe they didn't really understand it, but you were confident. So they just trusted that you knew what you were saying, right? And so we really want your people, whether that's a customer coming in or that's a new team member coming in, to feel your confidence. This is the most important foundational piece. So,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No, I love it. Okay. So I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. So make sure you have a pen and paper ready. Number one thing that you could be doing on a daily basis to dramatically increase your confidence is to track your accomplishments. Okay, I do this every single day, and then that is track 10 accomplishments that I did for that day. See, every single person I've ever talked to, if I said, tell me all the things you did wrong today, or all the things you could have done better, they could make a whole list of all the things. I could have been on that call earlier. I could have shown up like this. I could have done the laundry. I could have try to make that sale. I could have done all these different things. And so people keep track of all the things they're doing wrong. But how often do we really keep track of all the things we're doing right? And when you think of it that way, there's a direct correlation of why confidence is going down and like people seeing all the negative things that are going on going up. And so by tracking 10 accomplishments that you do every single day, you begin to switch that perspective that you have in your mind, that lens, and you start to see all the positive things that you're actually doing, which what do you guys think is going to do to your confidence? If you track the things you do right instead of the things you do wrong, is your confidence going to go up or is it going to go down? It's going to go up. Like, it just makes sense, right? And so go ahead and do that. Now, if you're wondering, well, did I even do 10 things that I can accomplish today? The answer is yes.
Yes!
So here's a really funny piece about the brain. It doesn't know the difference of whether you made $1 million or you loaded a dishwasher correctly, as long as they're celebrated the same way. If you put a lot of energy into, I loaded the dishwasher correctly, yeah, boom, this was amazing, I'm so good. And you go, oh, and I made $1 million, I'm so good. The brain just goes, you know what? I think those are both good. So we're going to categorize them in the same space.
Crushed it.
Okay. So yes, exactly. So you crushed it. So even something simple as like, hey, I kept my kids alive today. That's a win. I fed them. I fed myself. I showered, which I'll tell you, some days are harder than others, right? We're not robots. We're not just at the top of our game always. But if you adopt this, I promise you, your life will change. Okay, so 10 things. Some days they'll be little. Some days it's like, hey, I didn't stay in bed all day. And other days is like, dude, I had the best sales day of my life today. And it doesn't matter. You're going to celebrate those the same. So I want you to grab a pen and paper that you put next to your bed every night. And you just write down the date, number it to 10, and put 10 things you accomplished. Does that make sense? Okay, got it. Okay, we'll move on to number 2. Number 2 is read 10 pages of either a personal development book or an industry-related book. For you guys, it could be a sales book. It could be a sales presentation book. It could be like how to increase your productivity.
It could be leadership, especially for when you're trying to attract a team. I always tell Elka leadership books, man. Read the leadership books.
No, 100%. So anything that is going to move the needle forward. And the reason why it's like, yes, it's cool to read 10 pages every day. Like, you're not going to get worse off because you read more. Okay. So we all know it's one of those other things that just makes sense. You're going to be better off because you read more, but also your brain is a muscle. We all know this. Yes. And if you put your muscle in the position of being used in a specific way every single day, is it going to get better at that one thing or worse? It's going to get better, right? And so by doing this every single day, you're telling your brain, I'm a producer. I'm a producer. I feed new information into you regarding this one thing, and that is growing my business and helping other pets and helping change people's lives. Okay, so the fact that your brain is there is going to dramatically increase your results. Does that make sense? So 10 pages every single day. Yes?
Boom.
Okay, number 3. This is work out for 30 minutes every day. And now working out can mean totally different things for everybody. If you told me I had to go do like CrossFit every day, I would be like, there's no way. There's no way. Like, some CrossFit people are like insane, and like, respect to them, right? Or marathon run. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, but where I'm at and what I'm talking about in, exercise, working out for 30 minutes every single day, it could be a walk. And I'll be honest, for me, most days it is a walk. Okay, some days it's going to the gym, some days it's swimming, some days, it's walking around my house, because that's what I needed to do for 30 minutes, is just walk around my house. Anything that is going to make you sweat for 30 minutes, and you guys already know this, whenever you sweat, you release certain kinds of endorphins, certain feel-good chemicals in the body. And if you're doing everything to make yourself feel better, you're going to perform better. Not only that, but you're going to get stronger, you're going to get better, you're going to have better blood flow, you're going to think clear. And there's all these benefits to working out and doing all that, but it's going to dramatically help you. And it's going to, if you've ever felt stuck, I guarantee you after you sweat, you don't feel as stuck. And so it's going to keep that momentum moving. Does that make sense? So 30 minutes of any type of physical activity every single day will help dramatically increase your self-confidence. Now, number 4, this one is a little bit of a controversial one. And so I'll tell you guys, if at first you're like, whoa, hold up, I got to do what? I promise you it'll shortly after become one of your favorite ones. And that is because I talk a lot about the brain. And what goes on in here in between both of your ears is super, super powerful. We can all agree, yes? And so here's what I want you guys to do. It's called a writing and burning. How many of you guys know what that is? Okay, a couple of you. For those of you that don't know, here's a simple thing of what it is. Every single day, I think there's been so many different studies, but we have like 60 to 80,000 thoughts every single day that they've tracked, and there's different studies that vary. But for the most part, most of them have come down to being pretty conclusive and saying that about 70% of your thoughts are negative because we've left our mind go without control, meaning everything that goes on, if you think about it, you turn on the news is hardly ever telling you, hey, this is all the good stuff going on in the world. They're telling you, hey, this is all the stuff that's not good going on in the world. Radio, all these things are really focused on negativity rather than positivity. And we won't go into why, except for the simple fact that negative news travels faster than positive. But simply, you want to start to retrain your brain to focusing on positive, right? Just like the 10 accomplishments, this is another supercharger to it. So here's how you do it. I carry around a little notebook. You could even be a little piece of paper, whatever it is. You fold it up, put it in your pocket, have a pen with you always. And every time you get the thought, I don't know if I can do this. Oh, I'm dumb. Oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. People don't like me. What are people going to say? People are going to think I'm too salesy. Can I really do this? Oh, I'm so stressed out. I'm so worried. Anything that is not, nothing works out for me. Any single thought that you have that is not moving the needle forward, okay, you want to get out your piece of paper, write it down. And as you write it down on a piece of paper, I want you to picture this. You're pulling it out of your head, putting it on this piece of paper, and then at the end of the day, you're going to rip out the paper and you're going to burn it. Okay, so don't let anybody read it. It's so funny. If somebody got a hold of it, they'd be like, wow, these are a lot of negative thoughts that this person thinks. And in all reality, we all have them. Okay, we all have them. Some people are just going subconsciously throughout their life, not taking care of what really goes on in here. But by doing this and doing the conscious effort of saying, I'm pulling it out, putting it on a piece of paper, so I'm removing it from here, putting it on paper and burning it, destroying it, subconsciously you're telling yourself, this is what we do. Eventually you hit a point where you don't have as many negative thoughts, and all of a sudden you're walking with a pep in your step, and you're like, wow, I'm way more confident and way more happy. What's going on? My life is just working out. And it's because all of a sudden your mind stopped doing this consciously, and now you're doing it subconsciously, which means now the brain takes over and says, okay, this is what we do now, this is what we focus on now, and your life begins to change automatically. Does that make sense? Okay, and now the last one, number 5, and I know I'm going kind of quick here, but we have a lot of stuff to cover. Here's the deal. This is the power statement that I use. I've had every client use, and I'll tell you this, it's not just worked for me, it's worked for so many people, because when you're in the state of mind, you perform better. Okay, so this is the power statement that I use every single day, all day, and I want you guys to adopt it, at least for the next couple of weeks, just to see what happens, because I promise you, there's no way your life can get worse by using the statement. I am the best ever, period. Okay, I am the best ever, period. Okay, you're the best you. Elizabeth, you're the best Elizabeth. Linda, you're the best Linda. Amy, you're the best Amy. Andrea, you're the best Andrea. Amy, I mean, come on, guys. You are the best you ever. I could never be you. And I wouldn't want to, and you could never be me, and you wouldn't want to, because you have your own very specific set of skills, personalities, experiences that make you absolutely unique. So it is time for you to be the best you ever, period. And if you go around saying that I am the best ever, period, I promise you, you will perform better, because we don't perform worse when when we feel better about ourselves. Okay. We only perform worse when we feel down on ourselves, when we're unsure, insecure, all these things, doubts and things like that. No, we're removing those, and you are completely powered up to be able to take action on the next things we're going to share. So I know we went kind of quick, and might leave some time open at the end for questions, depending on how much of this we get through. Because like I said, we want to give you guys an insane amount of value. But those are the 5 things that if you do daily, your life will change.
I love it. I love it. Wow, he went so quick. Okay, there was a few questions I saw. So Joe, to answer the first one, yes, you can. When he said read 10 pages, if you want to listen to an audiobook because that works better for you, go for it. 100%. If you can get some workout in at the same time you listen to your audio, do what you got to do, get your stuff in. It's really about creating that discipline and that consistency, because when you do that, it changes your mind. It rewires your entire brain. So that was the first one. I think it was Denise. Denise, are you in Florida? I think it was Denise. Listen, I miss Florida. What part of Florida are you in? I just want to know. But I'm like, oh, I cannot wait. We're going back next week, and I'm so excited. Are we supposed to insert our name into the statement? I'm the best ever, period. I mean, you never do, but you could.
I never have. But you know what? If it came up for you,
it did.
I'm going to say go for it. Totally go for it.
Claremont,
because it came up for you for a reason.
Where's Claremont at? Sorry.
Claremont. You know what?
Listen, I just moved to Florida. I'm like, is that below Orlando? Below?
Claremont is in the Orlando area.
You guys in Florida.
Okay, so you're biased. You're right there. Okay, we live right under Kissimmee, Poinciana, middle of nowhere kind of area.
Yeah, we're on the west side of Orlando, about 20 miles west of Orlando.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. And you can just sweat sitting outside in Orlando. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. That's what Mandy wrote. So I was checking. Oh, okay. The name. You guys, here's something cool. Fun fact before we dive in about your name is that when you can say your name confidently, it changes your identity. It changes your belief in yourself, and it actually makes you more confident. So most people say their name and they say it like it's a question. So let's say that my name's not John, but do you see how if I say John, there's a little bit of resistance at the end? John, it's John, right? It's a question. And so practice saying your name in the mirror for fun and see how you say your name. Do you own it? Are you the most confident, with conviction or not? So I love it. So if you had the name, she wrote it. So I feel like that was the reason for it. Everything happens for a reason. Someone told me once to say, I am Joe, not my name is Joe. Yeah, totally. Yep. Totally. Okay, you guys, so let's dive in.
I'm the best cat mama this side of the Mississippi. That is my claim to fame. I love it, Laura. Yes.
I've been saying, I'm a big house mom, biatch. And my husband thinks, I just feel like, Laura, I love it. I feel like I would vibe with you so much. I'm the best cat mama. I love it. Okay, so let's do this. So today's conversation is mostly around sales, honestly. And we have so many kind of bonus key pieces that we wanted to throw in here. Like Omar mentioned, we really wanted to make it as simple as possible for you. So as we go through it, if something really sticks out to you, like you're like, ooh, I needed that, star it, circle it, star it, capture it. One of the things I love about myself, guys, we really like ourselves over here on this end of the world. Okay. But we really do. And I'll say, I love that when I go to events, I take notes like nobody's business, like more notes than anybody probably in the room. And I also don't get so many notes that I'm overwhelmed and can't do anything because of the way that I take notes. And so I always like to share with people, star things that make sense to you, circle them so they're easy to find, because it's really appealing when you're learning business. We know we study business. We're business coaches for a living, right? Like we study business in all of its glory. It's really easy to be like, this is somebody's 7-step process and I need to remember all 7 steps. And so we write all 7 steps down. But what I want you guys to understand, what I have to like communicate is that you could add 1 step. You could take one thing from what we've done today. You could just go read 10 pages, or you could just go write 10 accomplishments down, right? And you could forget everything else that we said. And if that was the piece that felt the best to you and felt the most impactful, you would get a result. I've had clients that have doubled their sales and their income from just tracking alone. Just being like, just go track it. Just write down every day how much money you're making. And that alone increases their sales and literally doubles it, just because they're willing to be consistent with it and they're teaching themselves a new skill. I wish we had time to go into our story like completely, you guys, but I will tell you this. Our first month as entrepreneurs, we both quit our jobs. That's, like I said, a story for another day, but we quit at the same time with a brand new baby. Well, Omar quit 2 weeks, and then for 2 weeks later, I quit because I was like, he's having fun. I should go be the entrepreneur. And so I quit and became an entrepreneur 2 weeks after he quit and became an entrepreneur. And we had just bought our first house, had our first baby, and we basically ate shit. Like, if I can say that, I don't know if I'm allowed, but listen, we went down. It was like the first month in business, we made $0, you guys, $0, right? It was horrible. And then so fast forward the next month, we made $148, and we were just pumped that somebody bought something. It was one person, and they bought something from an event that Omar was like, we have to host this event. So we did an event, and one person bought something, and we were like, this is awesome. But you guys know, if you have bills, it doesn't pay the bills. So everything started to go downhill. Our heater, our AC broke, and it was the middle of Utah in winter and summer, and the AC broke. And so we were sleeping in our basement. We literally moved our mattress into our unfinished basement at the time, and we slept down there for like weeks because we just didn't have any AC, right? And I remember crying and feeling like a bad mom, holding my 6-month-old baby. Yeah, she was 6 months old. And so you guys, when we are talking about all these things, what we did is we would just learn something and apply one thing, learn something, apply one thing, learn something, apply it, because it's in the application that your body will start to remember, that these things become habit. I'm going to talk about body language in a second. And what I'm excited about is that at first it's overwhelming. You're like, oh my God, there's so much. And eventually it just becomes part of the way that you communicate, right? And so good news though, we went from 148 to the next month making 450. So now the water's getting shut off, and my husband's like, babe, we can't use the bathroom. We have to go to your mom's house to go to the bathroom.
It's real funny. The bank actually sends somebody out to your house to take away your new truck. When you don't pay it for a couple of months, because our bills were $8,000 a month, and then all of a sudden we're doing 148, and like
it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. Actually, I thought that somebody stole our truck. So fun fact, I did. I freaked out and I told my mom, somebody stole our truck. And Omar's standing in the back being like, stop. No, they didn't, right? And so, to be super honest, it was really embarrassing because our families, my mom invited us over for dinner every single day because she knew we couldn't afford to eat, and she didn't tell us that, but it was so sweet, right? And so we struggled. But month 4 of applying and actually taking action on things that were business related, not just mindset, but business related, while we were already doing the mindset pieces. You guys, we had an $18,000 cash received month, because in our business, you can actually make sales and then there's cash that you can receive, right? And so we went from 0 to 148 to 450 to 18,000. And what I will tell you guys is we know so much more now than we knew then. We were kind of like, in a sense, business stupid like then. Like we thought we knew business, but we really didn't. We were 4 months into business. We didn't know business. You know what I mean? And we still figured it out. And so I want you guys to know that 100% you can apply the things that we're teaching today. Pick the one thing that really sticks out for you, circle the things in your notes, and take action. Action is the most important thing that we're going to talk about today. So let's dive in. First thing I want you guys to do is I don't like doing trainings without intentions. I just feel like there's got to be a purpose for it. So I want you to think about what your income, whether it was a sales goal or an income goal, right? You decide. Some people like to focus on the amount that they're selling customers. Others like to focus on their income, right? And it doesn't matter to me which one you focus on, but I want you to pick a goal for September, right? We have September's coming up. What would you like to see your September income, your September ranking be? How much customer volume, right? And so I really want you, I have never made a sell in direct sales company before. This is nice to learn.
Ooh, you're in the right spot at the right time. I'm going to tell you.
For you.
Yes, we're excited. Okay, stay till the end and take lots of notes. I promise you we're going to give you some gold here that is totally going to help you make those sales.
Oh, so good. Okay, I'm pumped. It's a really good sales conversation. Okay, so I want you guys to set your goal. On your paper somewhere, type in your goal, write in your goal. If you're typing on a computer, write it down on a piece of paper, and then just type got it in the comments so I know that everybody on here has got it. They've got their goal. They know what they're moving for. They know what they're going to apply this information towards, right? So everybody take a second, pick a goal, write it down, and then type got it. Linda's got it. Woo!
Got it.
I love it. Elizabeth. That's funny. I know an Elizabeth Rose. So it's funny because it's like Elizabeth Rosen. And so I'm like, what? Why is Elizabeth on? Different Elizabeth. But hey, Elizabeth, got it. It's wholly unreasonable. Oh my God. I love that. That's even better, Joe. Boom. It's the crazy ones that get crazy. I'll tell you this. I remember the first time we made $87,000 in like a week and a half. And I remember being like, holy shit, I'm so glad that I was always like over 50K, more than this. Like I was like always doing, you guys know, some of you know, at least my money grab stuff, right? And I was always going for big numbers, and people just, they don't shoot for big numbers because they're scared they're not going to hit them. And then you hit your number and you're like, what if I would have made that bigger? So I love big goals. Also, if you don't have to reach your goal just because she had a big goal. So everybody else. Okay, Mandy's got it. Kim's got it. Andrea's got it. Boom. iPhone, got it. I don't know your name, but iPhone, whoever that is.
Got it.
Boom. Delana, Ken, perfect. Rita, perfect. Okay, now that we've got it, we're going to break today's training up into essentially 3 kind of sections. We're going to talk about how to start a sales conversation, and we're going to talk about how to close a sale, and then we're also going to talk about how to do follow-up. So when we said this was jam-packed, we weren't kidding. We actually gave some of you guys as leaders, here are some different things that me and Omar love to talk on. What do you guys want? And they were like, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, and a little bit of that. And then somebody, I can't remember who it was like, can you guys share a little bit about body language too? Because we do love body language. So we're adding a bonus piece in right here for you guys, body language. But I'm putting it at the beginning because you guys are actually going to be able to apply this in your sales conversations. So today is going to be all about sales conversations, how to open them up, how to close them, right? But really what I love, and once again, going back to our beginning journey, the first thing in personal development that we learned, not just like we went from like personal development to business development, right? And learning business skill sets. But before that, we had personal development. And before that, before we even had books that we were reading or anything like that, what we had was body language. And it's interesting because they always say 7% of your communication is words, right? Which means we think what we say is most important, but it's not. How we act is the most important. How we look, how we hold ourselves, which is why Omar's always drilling confidence down his clients, because if they just act a little different, they're going to get a crazy result, right? Because people are going to subconsciously understand them differently. So in simple, basic, I'm going to give you guys 3 tips, but really what I want you to understand first of this is the reason that body language works and how it kind of works is just imagine, everybody do this with me really fast. Like just kind of do like a push away motion. Sorry, Omar, I'm going to like do this. Okay. Everybody just do this with me. Perfect. If you did this to your spouse today, you get off this call, you go hang out with your spouse, your kids, and you just start doing this with don't say anything. Just do this. They're going to walk away. They're going to their first response is going to be to take a step back and be like, what are you doing, babe? What's happening here? Right. But their natural response, their subconscious gives them is move back because you're pushing them away. The same thing is true when you pull people towards you. So this is why I love doing things like the money grab, and I love pulling energy. Good morning, world. Like I will do anything to pull energy towards me. Okay. Because it really does. It pulls things towards you. Okay. And so if you went up to your spouse today and after the call, you just went like this for a second, you would see them what are you doing? But they would get a little bit closer.
He's going to come.
They're going to be like, what's happening? Right? And so that's when people are like, but how does body language work? It's literally just us signaling to the other person something subconsciously. We're signaling to their subconscious what's happening, right? And so there's certain things that we can place into our body language to help other people feel confident and secure in us. And there's certain things we can look for in other people to be able to understand what they're going through. So I did write down 3 main pieces. Body language gets crazy. Even every single tooth that you have has a meaning, which is really exciting and fascinating. But all your fingers mean different things. And there's so much good stuff. But here's what I wanted to say for you guys. I have 2 things that I want you to focus on. You as the salesperson, you as the leader on your team, you as freaking just the confident, badass, beautiful yourself, okay? Like that is it. Like this is not just for business. Like you do this with your family. I want you just to walk out into the world like this, okay? The first one is I want you to point your feet forward. So everybody just look down at your feet really fast. Look at where your feet are pointed. If they're pointed towards the door, don't tell me, I'll be sad. Our feet, listen, you guys, our feet point in the direction that our mind is thinking. Okay. So if you have something over here that you need to get done and someone is talking to you, it is natural for you to point your feet that direction, right? But what happens is it signals to this person that they've got to go. They're busy, they're doing something else, or they're just unsure, right? If your feet are pointing to out or to in, it signals to the other person subconsciously that you're not really sure where you're going. But if your feet are kind of squared with your shoulders and pointing forward, it signals to their subconscious, this person knows where they're going. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to buy something from somebody who doesn't know. And I don't want to be on someone's team who doesn't know. Even if they don't know, I don't care. Pretend like you do know, because it'll make me feel like there's hope for me. And that's all I need to create a result. All I need is to believe that it's possible and we will create magic together, right? And so here's the thing. What?
No, that's good.
It's real. You guys should hear the craziest things I've manifested, okay? Listen, it's fun. Point your feet forward. So that's the first thing that you're going to focus on as a human being in yourself. This isn't for what you're looking at in other people. You'll notice it. You'll have a kid with your conversation with your teenager, and they'll be pointing and they'll be like walking out of bye mom, see you later, okay, bye. Like they're going to be like trying to leave the conversation. It's great when you learn it in other people, but for you, the power is that people will feel like you know where you're going. You have direction. That's what that signals, okay? First thing, feet forward. Second thing you're going to do, you're going to nod your head yes. Okay. Like, I feel like it's funny. I don't know what happened to the world, but like we kind of shut down, right? As kids. I mean, I do know what happened. Listen, we all were told sit down, and our parents went, stop. And they were like, sit down. And they signaled to us to get smaller, to sit down, to be quiet. Don't jump on the couch. Don't run around. When you're at other people's house, it was all this movement, right? And so humans kind of like started to shut down, and they just kind of started to sit still, right? And so when you're in that state of not moving, right, it can feel very lonely, and that's what most of the world feels right now. People really, they just want to belong, right? And they want to feel understood. And I don't know about you, but if somebody on here got on here and said, you know what's crazy, my dog just had diarrhea all over the freaking living room, okay, and this is my problem, somebody on this call would be like, yep, been there before, you know what I mean? And they'd be nodding their head yes, right? Yep, that's happened to me before, yep. And in that conversation, who's the person that they're going to feel the most connected to? The person not shaking their head or the person shaking their head? So it's the person shaking their head, right? So I just want you guys to practice shaking your head. It's going to help people feel like they belong in your space. Also, since we are talking about sales today, it's a great sales tool, you guys. It's an amazing sales tool. When you're talking to somebody and you're like, oh, have you had this problem? And you're shaking your head yes, their natural response is to say yes. So you're naturally telling them, hey, be honest with me. It's okay. You can be open. You can tell me what's happening. I'm here for it. Like, right? And so when you shake your head yes, you get more yeses, first of all, and people feel like they belong in your space. So I really want you to shake your head yes a lot more. So just practice. It's kind of weird, but you hear something that was really good. You're like, yep, that was good. Like you guys can probably already tell, we're very animated on this side of life. Okay. Okay. So those are the 2 that I want you to focus on for you. I wrote down 1. And the one most important thing that you are going to focus on in your customers, okay? And when you get really good at this, you can hear it over the phone, even like in people's tones. But what I really want you to do is get good at recognizing it in people, even if you're not the one talking to them. And this is this. When somebody scratches their head, what they're doing is they're stimulating their blood, right, in their brain. They don't understand. They're trying to send blood to that part of their brain. So when they scratch their left side, they're trying to figure out the logics. They need some facts. When they scratch the right side, then they're looking for they're not really seeing the full picture, right? And you don't have to remember that part, because you don't got to be like, is this right or left? What do I do? It doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. Because here's all you need to do. And when people scratch their head, they just are a little bit confused. It's not coming full circle for them. And so what I do is I just slow down and I repeat whatever I just said. Right? Because you know all the nutritional facts. You know how to help cats. You know dogs. You know the difference in the products. You know the seasoning and how it works and how it's so great. But people are like, wait, there's seasoning for dogs? And they're like scratching their head. It's like, just say it again. They'll get it. They'll just trust that they'll get it. But one of the things that you can do is people cannot buy if they are not clear. That is a fact. Like, you guys know this. Like, if you went to the store right now and you were looking for a swimming pool and they were like, well, we have a size of a pool and it's kind of somewhat deep. You couldn't buy. If you don't understand, you can't buy it. You won't buy something you don't understand, right? And so unless that person is so confident that you're like, I'll do whatever they want, but then at that point, you've got to have trust. And you might have some customers that will do anything you say because they trust you. And I love those customers. They're the best, right? Also, to convert more people and to get more sales and to help more families, right? We've got to help people pass their mindset and their beliefs and their understanding. And I talk really fast. So this is probably why this is the most important one that I learned, because I'm like, and people be like, what's happening? I'd be on stage speaking and all the audience is scratching their head. My husband's back there like, slow down, babe. And he literally used to do this, like at the back of the room. He would just keep doing this until I would get the message to slow down, right? And so whether you're speaking on a stage, you're doing a Zoom training like this, right? Like, we can see a lot of you on here. And if there was 5 people rubbing their head right now, one of us would automatically get the signal and slow it down just to let the information sink in, because it doesn't do us any good if we're teaching you really cool stuff and you don't catch it, right? And so it's like our job to be the best leader in the situation. When you're having a customer conversation, they've given you authority to lead. They've said, hey, we trust you to lead us. And so it's really cool that you can watch their body and understand more than what they're going to say with their mouth, because it's really sad how many people will say no because they just don't understand. And it's so simple as just, oh, they're scratching their head, slow down, say it again. Super simple. Good. Did you want to add something, or you just? Oh, he's gonna move something. I love your pace. First time I heard you, I was like, wow, someone didn't have to. I know, but on 2x speed. You guys, I love it. You guys have probably heard of Boxer, right? It's like you can ×4 somebody on that thing. It's my life. I love it. It's great, except for when I listen to other people on Boxer all day and we're having conversations back and forth and I speed it up, it actually makes me talk faster because I'm listening faster, and then eventually we have to like stop and slow. But I am very quick. Thank you. I'm a fast talker. I learned to educate to slow myself down. Yeah, definitely. I'm a fast talker. Good. You guys are my people. Yes, I love it. Okay, so that is body language. So remember, things for you to focus on: feet forward, right? That was the first one. Nodding your head, yes, the second one. And what you're looking for in the world is people scratching their heads. And you'll notice it with your family. Try it with your kids and your spouse first. When you get that, you'll be like, oh, it works. Oh my gosh. They like, oh, I take out the garbage. Yeah, mom, okay. And they're scratching their head and you're like, okay, I don't think they heard you. They probably didn't hear you. They didn't, right? They didn't get the steps of how you wanted it done. And so just repeat it and it will actually sink in much clearer. So that is the body language piece. And now let's dive into sales. Yeah. I'm learning sign language and I sign slow. I love sign language. That's cool. I learned sign language in high school too. It's fun.
You do. Okay. Awesome. So, all right. So I'll go through this pretty quickly. I'll shorten it a little bit here, but give you guys the full thing on how to start a sales conversation. So there's 2 types of conversations. One, where somebody, you already know them, you kind of already know their pets, you kind of already, you've talked to them before. This isn't the first conversation you've really had with them. They kind of know what you do and stuff like that. So with these kind of people, this is how you would start a conversation with them. And if you guys remember, confidence and sales go hand in hand, because how you say something and the self-belief and the self-confidence you have really shows up. Because I'm going to tell you guys, this is probably one of the simplest phrases that you can write down to start any conversation with this type of people. Okay. Let's say you already know them and you know their pet. We're going to say their pet's name is Charlie. Okay, you could say something like, you wouldn't be against me showing you what we have for Charlie to live a longer life, would you? You wouldn't be against that, would you? What are they going to say? No, right? Sure, yeah, show me what you got. Okay, but if I was like, you wouldn't be against, me showing you what we have for Charlie, would you? They're gonna be like, wait, what? You don't even I don't even think you know what you're saying right now. So why would I say yes to that? Because you're not even sure, so I'm not sure. But if you're like, you wouldn't be against me showing you what we have for Charlie to live a longer life, would you? You wouldn't be against it. Okay, you wouldn't be against me showing you what we have for insert the pet name to live a better, longer life, would you? And then they're going to say, well, no, I guess I wouldn't be against that. Because if you ask them, is it okay if I show you? They're going to say, oh, no, I don't have time right now. Talk to me later, do this, or, I'm not interested right now. But if you ask the question just by phrasing it that way, you wouldn't be against me showing you what we have for Charlie to live a longer life, would you? You wouldn't be against that, would you? Then they're going to say, well, no, I guess I wouldn't be against that, so sure. And now I guarantee you're going to have way more conversations with people that you already know just by saying that. Now, here's the deal. If you're like, I don't know if I can say that, first thing I'm going to tell you is you absolutely can, because you have a mouth and you can speak and you can absolutely say that. And if you just practice this in front of the mirror, maybe talk to your spouse, talk to your kids, and say, hey, you wouldn't mind me showing you what we have for, say, your pet's name, would you? And just practice with your family. Okay?
No, wait, hold on. I got to point something out really fast here. So Omar, one of the things that we haven't really talked about, like I said, our story a ton, but Omar, one of the things that companies that are multi-million-dollar companies have hired him to come in and do, right, is to teach their sales teams. And so he's really good at teaching all of these sales things. And it's because he actually implements them. So when he first started in insurance a few years ago, oh my gosh, yeah. So when he first started in insurance, you guys, he would read these scripts, right? And he would come in my office, and actually he still does this sometimes, but he'll come in my office and he'll read the script with me, and he just wants me throw any objection at me, and he'll read through a script, throw any objection at me until he gets it down to the point where it no longer feels like a script. It just is it feels so smooth. So if you're reading this sentence, if you wrote down the sentence that he just gave you and you're like, oh my gosh, two things I want you to do. One, I want you to really quick, we're going to pause for 10 seconds. I want you to write down 3 people that you could say that to. This could be, your sister-in-law, your brother. It could be your mom, whoever has a dog that
your
or a
neighbor.
cat that you haven't quite approached yet because you're waiting for them to approach you, right? Hopefully they see my social media posts and approach me. Whoever you haven't said something to, everybody write down 3 names really fast that these people have dogs and or cats and their animals' names, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing I want you to do is I really want you to practice this in the mirror. I really want, and he could go into all the little teeny details of what he's doing when he says it, why he puts this word here, why he phrases this thing here. There's a whole system behind what he just told you, but nobody needs to know that. Nobody cares about that, right? All we care about is the result. And so it's if you practice this in the mirror over and over and over again with your spouse, with your kids, say, hey, can I practice on you until you get it down? You might mess it up the first time you say it to somebody because of nerves, but that's all it's going to be, nerves. And you say it to a second person and a third person, by the time you get to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th person, it's just so comfortable. It's so comfortable. And we do business coaching for a living. And I remember the first time we had a business coach that told us, if you're going to help people increase their income, you have to know where their income's at. And I was terrified to ask people, how much money do you make a month on average? I was terrified, right? I was terrified to be what's your real goal? Because people don't like to share that kind of information, right? And I was all I don't know. And so I remember the first time I asked it was a little bit shaky. They were I don't really know. It doesn't really matter. And they were they gave me a shaky answer. But when I started to practice it and practice it and practice it, eventually it's just, I could walk up to a stranger and be hey, you got some goals? Okay, tell me what you make every single month. And they would tell me because I've said it so many times. And so the goal here is repetition. Say it as many times as you possibly can. And I'll tell you, he really does. He sits in my office and goes, give me an objection. And I'll throw things at him and he'll be okay, I'm overcoming it. And so you're learning from somebody who knows what they're talking about. Not that you didn't know that, but now you know. He's really good. Practice the statement because even he practices his statements.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you this. The best athletes in the world still practice their craft every single day. In fact, more than everybody else, which is why they're the best in the world. And so I promise this is one of those statements that if you practice over and over and over again, it's going to make a huge, huge difference in your business. Now, if you're you know what? I can't think of one person that I can ask this question to. You can go to a pet park and talk to a person. Oh, is that your lab? oh, what's their name? And, start a conversation, be like, oh, you wouldn't be opposed to me, you wouldn't be against me showing you what's going to help Sally live a healthier, like, longer life, would you? And they're going to be like, okay, sure. And here's the whole point, is say it as if it would be weird if they said, no, don't show me. Okay, because that adds a different level of confidence. Now, they still have the full right and choice to say no, but if you think it would be weird for somebody to not let me share what I have with them, you're going to deliver that statement differently. You wouldn't be against me showing you what we have for insert the pet's name to live a healthier, longer life, would you? Okay, that's the statement. So that's for somebody who you already know. Now, if let's say this is more of a colder conversation, if you want to be able to turn a cold conversation into an actual sales conversation, this is my favorite. It's called the curiosity peak story. Okay. And I'll tell you this, I hate being rejected. How many of you guys hate rejection? Like, be totally honest. I've been doing sales for so long, and people say, you know what? Eventually, you get over it. And I'll tell you this. Yeah, you kind of get stronger, but it still sucks. Like, it still sucks. Nobody likes being rejected. And so I was like, how do I create something to pique somebody's interest enough so I don't get rejected as much? And so, for example, this would be an example of a story that I would share. Now, I'm completely making this up on the spot based off of what you guys, what could possibly help you guys. So let me ask you guys a question before I go into the story. You guys are in the pet nutrition, right? So you guys deliver a high quality food and nutrition for pets to really help them live a better life, rather than your average Walmart food, right? Like, you guys are way better than the average Walmart food, and you guys are going to deliver way better nutrients. And there's a reason why dogs and cats and all these places really now are having more operations. They're having more things go wrong. They're having all these like sicknesses that they didn't have before, that they're now having, kind of like humans. And all of a sudden you're like, dude, it's got to be the nutrition, because if we ate right and our bodies were healthy, then we would live longer and better and have less problems, right? So same thing goes for dogs. So knowing that, here's the thing I would do. I would go up and I would look up all the illnesses and nutrition related problems that dogs or cats or pets are having, because they're not getting the nutrients they need, or they're getting some bogus food chemicals in their food, right? And I would look all these up, and I would read a bunch of stories, and yeah, some of them are really sad, but the whole point of this is because now I could go out and say hi to somebody. Hey, good morning. What are they going to say back? Oh, good morning. And I'd say, how's your day? And what would they say? Good. And sometimes if they really don't want to talk to anybody, they'll just say, my day is good, and they'll walk away. And that person wasn't down to talk that day, and that's okay. And that's how you know that you're not going to share with that person, because that person would have rejected you right on the spot. If you even asked them, do you have a pet? Is it okay if I show you something that's going to help your pet live longer? They would have rejected you on the spot. Okay. Now, if you say, hey, how's your day? Good. And they're going to ask you, how was yours? How was your day how was your day yesterday? Or what did you do yesterday? Whatever question you ask, the law of reciprocity says that they're more than likely to ask you that same question back. This is where you play chess with questions and words. Okay, this will literally make you a sales ninja, because you can guide a conversation without the other person knowing it. Hey, how was your day? Oh, mine was good. How was yours? Oh, mine was great. I had a crazy night last night. And then pause. If that person cares, they're going to say, oh, what happened? If they didn't care, they probably didn't care about anything you had to say, and you can just move on. Okay? And that person's probably a jerk, or they have something else going on, and they weren't going to listen to you anyway. But if you say, I had a crazy night last night, pause. You go, oh, well, what happened? Okay, now notice, I had a crazy night. I had a crazy night last night. I had a crazy night last night. Oh, why? Well, I was actually looking up all of these things going wrong with people's pets because of nutrition and all the sicknesses and all the surgeries and all these things. And what's crazy to me is that people don't know that they can get affordable food at the highest level of nutrition that they can get that would help their pets live longer if they just ask me where to find it. And guess what? If they care about that in that moment, they're going to be like, oh, well, yeah, dude, I have a pet. Tell me about it. And then boom, you just started a sales conversation, right? Off of a regular, normal, everyday conversation from a, hey, how's it going? To now they're saying, okay, well, tell me, I have a pet. How do I get that information? Does that make sense? And now you've piqued their curiosity, and now you can go, oh, well, tell me about your pet. And then you can lead into like, because as a salesperson in this industry, it's your job to like, not in a sense be a doctor because you're not a doctor, but you want to know about their pets. You want to know about their needs. You want to give them the best product, the best service.
The
and
more
help
you
them.
know, the more you can help.
Exactly. The more you know, the more you can help. And so now you can get to that point.
Yeah.
But you can never get to that point if they're never like, tell me more. And so that's the whole point of the curiosity peak story. My night was crazy last night. Oh, why? What happened last night? Well, I was reading all these stories and it's crazy to me. And then you kind of go into, like if people only knew that they can get affordable food with the highest level of nutrition for their pets, they could avoid all these problems if they just asked me where to get it. And then you leave it. It's an open-ended question where they can ask you or they cannot. And if they don't ask you, guess what? You never got rejected. But if they do ask you, then that gives you the permission to kind of go into the conversation and ask them more questions, diagnose, and now you're the authority, and now you're helping them and leading them through how you can actually help their pet. Does that make sense? Okay.
I love it because I feel like people always say take somebody from being like a cold lead to like a warm lead, right? And this is exactly what you're doing in that whole conversation. You're taking somebody that's super cold, you don't know them, you're making them a warm lead, and then you can follow up with them, which we're going to talk about in a second. But you can follow with them with that statement: hey, you wouldn't be against me helping you in this way, or helping so and so your animal in this way, or showing me what could help them, right? And so now you can kind of funnel them through that same type of conversation, either right then and there or the next day, right? Mm-hmm. So boom, I love it. I don't like to get into the nutritional details where I think
and just to let you guys know, the story, you can change it up because I see somebody here said something about their cats being picky eaters and one is with special needs. Create a story about that, or smelly poop. I love that. It's so crazy how many people. How was your night last night? It was crazy. Oh, what happened? Well, I was talking to all these people that had these cats with the smelliest poops. And they didn't know that their cats didn't have to have smelly poop. It's actually a nutritional thing. It's what you feed them. And if they just ask me, hey, how can I get rid of that? I'd actually tell them it's super affordable and they're able to get rid of that. They don't have to live with that smell and stop. Then they go, oh my gosh, okay, I have a stinky cat whose poop smell horrible. Tell me how to take care of that problem. Does that make sense? And so you can apply this in whatever way possible. Let's see. No friends. It seems to be with friends. How do you do this with strangers? Okay, this is perfect with strangers because strangers are usually nicer than family, because family at some point, or friends have at some point ignored you or been like, I don't feel like hanging out with you today. A stranger has never felt that way about you before. And if they do, it's going to be right now, and they're going to have to make a decision. You could go up to somebody, hey, how are you? Oh, good, how are you? Oh, great. I had a crazy night last night, but yeah. And then if they're like, okay, and they turn around and go away, they're probably an introvert and you would have had to dig a little bit more there. And you can, but starting out, you want to get all the yeses, not convert the no's into yeses. Okay? That's what you do after you have the skill set and all these things. Then you can play in that realm. But for now, just go after the yeses.
And you can also play on stories. So one thing that I love is whenever I learn a skill, one of the things I 5:55 for those of you in Utah and care about that. But okay, so here's the thing, you guys. I love being able to take what somebody else is doing in a different industry and apply it to my own. When we first started coaching, I studied the photography industry like crazy because I came from that world. And so I was like, I'm going to study this. I'm going to take what they're doing. And one thing I love is that you get people who are really good. Like, we're good at events, right? Like, we are really good one-on-one with somebody. Like, you get us at an event, we can pipe a room. We're fucking screaming. And sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. But we're like pumped, right? And we can get everybody really excited. And the reality is, and then we, moved to Florida. And it's like, okay, well, now how do you transfer that? And even before we moved to Florida, how do you transfer that? Your Facebook stories, your Instagram stories, TikTok, if you will. There is no, like, you guys know what? If you get on TikTok right now, record video, oh my gosh, you guys, I had a crazy night last night. Guess what happened? And then you just go into a story about talking about somebody with smelly cat poop, like, right? Like, people, even the internet people, they can relate. They're going to go, oh my gosh, I have a cat. I've had this problem. Or, oh my gosh, my sister has a cat and man, her cat smells. She needs this in her life, right? And so you can create this, just take the beginning part of it, which is, oh my gosh, I had this crazy thing happened, or I had a conversation with somebody, even if the conversation was with Mandy. Maybe it was you and Mandy on this call right here, and she was like, yeah, smelly cats. And you were like, boom, done. Get on my stories, talk about smelly cats, like, right? And so you can utilize this with strangers. Like, and I'll be honest, yes, TikTok, Instagram and Facebook are easier because you kind of know them a little bit, right? But the reality is that TikTok is a place where you might not know anybody, and you could start practicing those videos now and have a whole ton of strangers come to you. You could also go vend at events for those of you who like to go out and do events and things like that. And you could use the same exact thing. Everybody come up to your table. Hey, how's it going? How's your day? Good. How's yours? Oh my gosh, crazy. I just got a text from my sister. Oh man. And they're like, wait, what happened with your sister? And you're like, listen. And so text people when you're at stuff. Like, I love texting people when I'm out doing stuff. And I love having things to kind of respond to in life. And so what I want you guys to know is that if you ever hear any business teacher teach you something and you're like, I don't know how to apply that to my life, I challenge you to go find a way, or ask somebody, how do I apply this, until you find a way, because that's one of my favorite games to play, is let's figure out how to apply this to somebody who can apply it. Or myself, when I first started, right? It was, how do we apply that branding, it's in photography, to business coaching, and it worked really well.
Yep.
Deal.
I love it. Okay.
Okay, boom, perfect. Okay, let's do closing us out, because I feel like you wrote down we have a lot on our paper. So listen, we're going to do this real good for you guys. Okay, talk about closing us out really fast, and then I'll give them some follow-up tips.
Okay, so first of all, before you close a sale, you actually have to ask for a sale. Okay, and that's, I think, the hardest part, where people go, oh, I don't know, like I showed them, like let's say they go, yeah, show me everything. And they're like, oh, I have a lab that's struggling with this, this, and this. And you're like, oh, this right there I think would be really good. And they're like, cool. And then if you don't ask for the sale, that's where it dies. And then this is where people trust you as the expert. And
I want to say really fast, if you don't ask for the sell, it's where it dies. How many of you guys have been in a conversation and somebody's kind of went the roundabout way, or they're not really sure, or they're this and that? At some point, you have to be like, so did you want to purchase that? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, and I always just imagine, like, if you're standing at the store and the customer's standing in line and they're like, they can't make the decision, you're just going to help them make the decision. Is there anything else you need to know? Did you have any other questions, or are you ready to purchase that? Let me know if there's anything I can answer for you to help you with that, right? And I know this is kind of going into the follow-up, but I really want you guys to know that, like, if people are not giving you an answer, right, it's your job to get them to a yes or a no, right? So.
Yeah. And here's what I love. How many of you guys have ever gone to a doctor and gotten a prescription? Okay, did the doctor ask you if you wanted to buy the prescription, or did the doctor go, you know what, I think this right here, if you took this for X amount of time, I think this would really help. After that, after the 8 weeks, or after the 2 months, or after this, we can reevaluate to see if it's really helping and doing its job. And if it is, we'll keep you on it. And if it's not, then we'll take you off of it and we'll try something else. That is exactly what you do. Okay, you say, hey, based off what you told me today, I think this right here, I really believe would be our best bet. I recommend us doing this for a month or 2 months or 3 months to see if Charlie's weight or whatever it is improves, which I think it will. And then we can reevaluate in 3 months from now and see if this is really, if this is working great, we'll leave it, or we can adjust something that come that time. Okay. That would be it. Let's see. It would be so funny to do events with the prescription pad for it would be awesome. Okay, it would be awesome. And funny thing is, people would be like, that totally makes sense. I vibe with it because we're getting recommendations from the experts. But as for the sell that way, because now at this point they're gonna either say, okay, yeah, that sounds good to me, let's do that, or they're gonna say, how much is that gonna cost? Because at the end of the day, it's never like how much, like it's not if they love their pets or not. If they're talking to you and they're talking about their pets, they love their pets. It usually comes down to a money thing. Okay, and now this is what I want to tell you guys. I'll go over this objection real quick, just to cover that one, because money is kind of a big deal, and that's probably one of the biggest objections you'll get. Now remember, it's whenever you get the objection of money, it's never you against them trying to see who wins. No. It's always you and them trying to solve the money problem. This is huge, okay? This is huge in psychology.
Pause. So before we get to that point, I want you guys to separate yourself from your product, because what happens is if somebody tells you no, we take it personally. Like, I build courses for a living, you guys. If somebody's like, that was stupid, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that kind of hurt. You know what I mean? And it's like, if we are having that reaction, we've got to separate ourselves. Because when we separate ourselves from the product that we sell or the programs or the things that we offer, right? Now we can come at it from an egotistical, defensive, fear-based kind of nope. Like, you know how it is. Like, you weren't the cool kid on the playground. Everybody didn't like you. Everybody has a story where they didn't belong, right? And what that does is it triggers when somebody tells you no or they don't like your thing, it triggers that I don't belong, nobody likes me, right? And so we've got to just separate them so that you don't get that reaction, so that you just see this, they might not like pet food, right? They might not need this, but that doesn't mean they don't like me, right? So separate those two and then
Okay. Separate those two, and then here's how you overcome an objection. Okay, if you write this down, this can be applied to any objection. And I don't want to see any. I would say 99.9% of objections. Okay, because I'm sure there's one out there that this wouldn't cover, but for the most, this is it. You validate, you isolate, and then you reloop the cell. Okay, and I'm going to tell you exactly what those means, but this process, I guarantee, will dramatically increase your sales. Validate, isolate, reloop the cell. So here's what I mean by validate. Say, you know what, I totally get it. Money's tight right now. You know, it's really tight for a lot of people. Okay, you validated the objection, because if you're like, no, that's not a thing, that none of us want to move forward when we don't feel validated, right? If we feel like we're not understood, then it becomes defensive. But the moment we're validated, we're like, oh, okay, this person gets me. Like, our walls come down. Then you want to isolate the actual objection. Okay, and you're like, you know what? So let me see if I'm hearing this right. So you're saying you want to do this, it's just money, right? And if we could find a way around that, you'd get it for your pet, right? Then they're going to say either yes or no. And more likely than not, they're going to say, yes, I would. And this is where you get to be creative. Okay. This is where if you have a coupon, if you have discounts, or if you're like, you know what, this is what we should do. Instead of getting you on a monthly plan, how about we get you on a one month plan, but we try to stretch it out for 2 months. That way it brings the cost down, and we can at least start to see if this is actually going to help your dog, which I believe it is. And we'll start seeing some some improvements. And then at that point, once money becomes not as tight or anything like that, then we could definitely, up it up to every single month. Does that sound good? And then they're going to be like, yes, or no, or you know what? I have $0 in my bank account. Like, okay, so if you let me be like, no, I get it, right? Again, validate, then isolate. Okay, so just to make sure I'm not like trying to give you something that you don't want. So you're saying if you had the money right now, you would move forward. It's just that you don't have it. Is that right? You're gonna say yes. Okay, so how about this? Let's work on this together to make sure your pet, to make sure Charlie, gets the nutrition they need. When do you get paid? And then you work around with them, right? This is where you as the expert get to work with the customer to make it work. Does that make sense? Whether, like I said, it's give them a discount, set a date and a follow-up so when they can make a purchase. And remember, it's you and them. Now, these conversations can get uncomfortable if you feel like it's you against them, but if it's you and them, it's just one expert trying to help a person in need create a solution for their pets. Does that make sense? And that's why this is huge. Okay.
Boom. I love it. Lara, I'm not sure why I excel in one area and bomb the direct sales. Okay. So I love this. So we have a few things that we're going to give you guys today. Like, we always come with like bonuses and like random things, like who wants this PDF thing and who wants this video? We do really well on videos. So that's kind of what we always do. So I do have some things that I think will help with that, Lara, but in simple, it's probably because in the industry that you're in, where you're selling at your spa, right? Like, or at the spa, it's just, you're confident. You feel like the customer's coming to you. And there's this mindset probably shift that that you are going to the customer versus the customer coming to you, which means you're probably like me, which means I don't like to approach people. Omar is like, he can go out, have a conversation with anybody in the world. And I hide from my daycare lady, you guys. Like, you wouldn't believe it. I'm like, I'm not dropping my kids off. Don't want to go to daycare. Don't want to go to the store. Don't want to talk to nobody. Okay. Which is funny, because if you know me, I can talk forever. I can talk forever, right? And so it's like, there's this thing though, that I like it when people approach me. And so once again, in this, well, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but fun fact, we're coming back in 2 weeks to talk about social media. And so, Laura, make sure that you jump onto the social media training, because that's where we're going to be covering how to get people to come to you, kind of like that, like how do you use social media to get people coming and asking you all these questions, right? This is a sales conversation. That's a social media marketing conversation. So kind of a little bit different, but in simple, it's just the thought of, I want people to come to me. So your question that you're going to ask yourself is, how do I get people to come to me? And I'm not going to go into a crazy training because we're already over, and I so want to go into it, but I want to respect the time that we're already over. But yeah, remind me from that class. I need that. Okay, boom, September 12th. Yes. So we are going to do this, and it's going to be absolutely incredible. So here's the kind of last thing that I want to tell you. Yes, come hang out. Yes, I love it. Okay, so here's kind of the last thing I want to share with you guys. And I was going to draw a picture, but to save time, I won't draw a picture. Everybody use your imagination brain, okay? You guys know what a slide at a park looks like. Yes, everybody knows what a slide at a park looks like. Okay, how many of you guys, when you were kids, would you get in a line with your friends to go down the slide, and somebody, maybe it was you, maybe it was your friend, most of the time for me, it was my brothers, they would stop halfway on the slide. Like imagine one of those big slides and you're all getting ready to go down and boom, some kid stops in the middle so nobody can go down. You guys know what I'm talking about? Okay, how many of you guys did that? Did anybody here do that? How many of you were that kid? I wasn't that kid either. Listen, my brother was that kid, okay? I probably did it too. I just remember getting mad at him for it. But I have 2 girls, and they like to stop in the slide, and I'm like, keep going. People are trying to come down. So here's one of the biggest things that I see in entrepreneurship when it comes to marketing, but more importantly, I see this more when it comes into network marketing, direct sales companies, okay? This is probably the number one block for anybody in direct sales, is that we have this thing called the slide, right? And what happens is we get people, we come to these trainings, we get pumped up, we go, somebody says, hey, make a list of 10 people, and we start thinking about all the people or the opportunities we could create for ourselves, right? And that's people lining up on the slide. They don't know they're on the slide, but we put them on the slide, okay? We're like, we got my mom, we got my cousin, we got my neighbor, and we're putting people on the slide, right? Well, in line for the slide. And then what happens is I have a conversation with somebody, which is them going down the slide, okay? So now we're having a conversation, they're going down the slide, and somewhere along the way, I get scared, I don't ask for the sell. They don't respond because they're busy, so I back off, right? I'm just like, oh, they don't want to talk to me, right? I never follow up with them. They're like, hey, I'm not sure, let me think about it. And then I just leave them in the middle of the slide. The problem is that subconsciously, if you study the brain, what happens is your brain cannot come up with a new idea until it moves the current idea, okay? So if you have a list of 10 people on your slide, right, or in line for your slide, and I say, hey guys, I want you to go think of 30 more people, the first thing that's going to happen, sorry, there's a airplane or helicopter above us, but the first thing that's going to happen if I said, hey, Joe, I want you to make a list of 30 people, Joe's going to make a list of at least 5 to 10 people that she's already been thinking about for the last 2 weeks, or that she's already been talking to for the last 3 months, okay? And that's just what's going to happen, because there's still maybes. And that's what I want you guys to understand. There's a yes, there's a no, and there's a maybe. Your job in follow-up is to move as many people off the slide as possible. Now, we don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to say, no, you didn't answer fast enough, I'm putting you in the no pile. Okay, I actually do that to people, but you don't have to do it like that. I don't do it that aggressive though. I follow up a few times, right? Give them a little bit, hey, is there anything else I can do? Once again, we're on the same team. How can I serve them? How can I help them, right? And then once that they're like, okay, they're like, okay, I'm not sure. Then I say, hey, it just sounds like it might not be a good time right now. I'm going to go ahead and say it as a no for now, but I'll come back in 6 months or something like that. And you can put them on a little calendar schedule thing, or you can actually just say, if you're ever interested, come back to me. And if you're like me, the petty side of me comes out, and this is really honestly true, where I'm like, I'm going to do all my social media targeting this person. It's not bad though, because guess what? If I'm targeting one person who didn't respond, then guess what? Everybody else that didn't even know what I did is now listening, because I'm helping them overcome objections that they didn't even know they had, right? And I'll teach that in social media, so don't worry, we don't got to all get petty. But it's just me. I'm like, oh, this person, they can't because they're busy. They can't because of this. Oh, they don't think it's important. I'm going to get on my stories and tell everybody why this is the most important thing they need right now. And so I want you guys, it's a game. Entrepreneurship is a challenge. It's fun, right? It's not this high pressure. If I fell, my spouse is going to think that I, did 5 companies and didn't make it. I can't tell you how many events I've hosted, and this guy, he just keeps supporting it. And it's because I'm not going to give up, right? And so I've done all these crazy things. And it's the biggest thing people get stuck on, once again, is the list in their head, man. The list in your head. So follow up. If you think, oh, I should send an email to my entire list, that's a marketing technique that's sitting in your mind. That is one person on the slide. And so when you get these ideas or these people to talk to, I invite you to go do them. and we'll teach, like I said, we're going to talk about social media next time, but I invite you to just practice follow-up, practice following up. And once again, following up is you just being creative about how to restart the conversation. So my favorite way in doing this is honestly just, it's kind of funny, find a new incentive. Find a new incentive, right? If you had like a 25% off coupon code that you were offering somebody and you've kind of followed up 3 or 4 times and then they didn't really do much with it and they like didn't say anything, then I would personally message them. Let's just pretend that me and Joe have been talking and I got this 25% off for Joe. Like, one, I can be like, hey, this ends tomorrow, Joe. Don't forget, you got to do it. Right. And when I come, I'm like, I really tell people, like, you have to do this. This is incredible. Like, why would you not? Because if I'm excited for them, they're excited for them. Right. And so when you follow up, be excited. Don't be like, hey, how's it going? Did you think about it yet? No, like, hey, how's it going? Did you think about it? Let me know what your thoughts are. How can I help? Like, and just come with like a little bit more leaning forward energy. It's kind of, it feels aggressive to you, but for them, it means, hey, this person can really help me. I trust this person. And so lean forward. And then once again, it comes to an end, 25% off, right? And I'm like, dude, Joe, you missed out on 25% off, but don't worry, I got you covered. I can do free shipping for you this week. So talk to your hubby, get back with me. Which animal do you want? Do you want all 3? I like, and here's a trick in follow up too. Give people options in follow up. When you're following up with somebody, they want options, right? They don't always need options. You can kind of close on like what you were talking about. But if you come with like, hey, so I can do it this week if you do it for this, but you have 3 animals, right? So did you want to do it for 1 animal or 2 animals? And you're just simply asking them a question. What you're doing is you're creating the opportunity to message them back. Because it's not bad if you message back and say, hey, did you figure out if you were doing 1 or 2? They're not offended by that. Right. And so if you just start, and I like to call it like genuinity, like it's like you have to be genuine. And this is where like every person is different. You're all going to find your own ways to follow up. But what I'll tell you is when you just think about one person, if I was like, Joe, I got to follow up with Joe, right? What's the most genuine way that I can follow up with Joe right now? And then I do that and it works because it always works, right? And then guess what? I'm like, that works with her. I'm going to go to Sally and Sue and Bill and John, and I'm going to go follow up with all those people that exact same way. And then all of a sudden, boom, you have a strategy that works for you. That's your business. That's customized to your tone. It's not somebody else's script. It's yours, right? And so that you practice it at first, but then you guys, you'll get in. I'm always with you. I know, right? I think we have a good time. Listen, there's a lot of fun stuff that happens. So I hope that helps. Well, like I said, we'll do social media and attraction marketing then, but following up, you guys, is the purpose of follow up is to get people off of the slide because your subconscious will not allow you to attract new people. So if you're sitting there going, man, I just wish new people would come in. We got to get all the old people off the slide. And that's okay. If you can either count them as no's yourself. You could say, I'm not going to message this person for 3 months. So guess what that means? Tomorrow, I got to find new people. Right? So commit to yourself right now that you're going to stop following up with no's and you're going to start following up with maybes and you're going to get them to a yes or a no pile. Like at the bottom of the slide, there's a yes or there's a no. They cannot get off the slide unless they are a yes or they are a no. So they cannot be a maybe on the slide, and you just get them off the slide. And if you're like me, I use paper, so just write their name down. Like make a list. If you have a list of 70 people, we're not mad that you had to write down 70 people's name. You know what I mean? Write down their name and cross it off. Yes, no. We have events that have had 150 plus people at them, you guys. And I swear every single time we have somebody go through, our assistant goes through, she makes a spreadsheet and we make sure we follow up with every single person on that freaking list. It's like a yes or a no, yes or a no, right? Are they coming and hanging out? Boom, Amy has got it. Yes. Okay, so that's what we have for you guys today. Thanks for hanging out and staying over.
Yes.
Oh,
guys,
sorry, what?
No, thank you guys so much. I know we went over like 15 minutes, so we want to do something special for
Mandy's
you guys.
like, kick him off the call. Sorry, Mandy.
If that's okay with Mandy, we want to give you guys something, because I know we went kind of quickly with the time that we had, and we tried to jam-pack what we thought was most effective for you guys. So is it okay if we kind of give some of like access to some courses that we have for you guys?
All the freebies. We will take this, right?
Okay.
Like, do it. Yes. All of it. Okay.
Give it all.
Here's what we're going to do.
We appreciate you guys tonight. So yes, anything you want to throw out there, we would love to have. And even though you went over, everybody was just listening intently, and you could tell faces, writing. It was great, and all the comments. So we really appreciate it. So go ahead and finish up, and then I'll stop the recording here in just a minute.
Boom. Perfect. Okay. So remember, I know we did a lot. So just circle the few things that you guys need. If you needed to follow up with people because you got 10 people, then do it. If you need to close the sale because you're starting the conversation, but you're not finishing it, do that. And if you need to start the conversation, go out and play in the world, right? And also work on body language, because why not? It's fun. It's fun to know what people are thinking when they don't want you to know what they're thinking. You know what I mean? They're like, I'm not confused. I'm not. And you're like, no, they're confused, but don't tell them that. Don't call them out. I remember, fun fact. I remember somebody that was teaching us body language one time walked past me, and I was like, I stopped. Like, I just froze. And Omar's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I didn't want them to know what was happening in my life. And I got all like weird. And now it's like, they don't care because that's not like people don't do it. It's a really great communication tool. So there's that. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm gonna, hey Joe, will you type this for me? I'm gonna have Joe type my phone number in there. And then basically what we're gonna have you guys do is we normally just come with like one freemium thing that we're like, hey, here's a gift, here's a free thing that you don't have to do anything to receive. But because there were so many topics, we were like, let's just let them pick what they want. So I'm gonna give you guys 3 different options. You pick the one that you want and just type me ABC, right? So first of all, the number that you're gonna text is my cell phone number, so don't throw it to the world, okay? But 385 528 7432. So 385 528 7432. And what you're going to text me is your name. And then you're going to text me A, B, or C. You decide, you get to pick. Everybody's different and unique. So the first thing is I actually have an entire training on, I think it's like an hour long, on body language for sales. So it's specifically for sales conversations and it's body language. So if you like that kind of stuff, text me an A, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to do A. A is body language for sales. Okay. The next one is, I know we didn't talk about money mindset, you guys, but one of the things that I'm most known for is money mindset. And we do have a really cool 10-day challenge. Some of you might already have access to it, but for those of you who don't and like to increase your mindset around money and watch as crazy amounts of money flow to you, it's amazing to me without doing all the crazy strategy, right? Then you're going to text me B. You're going to text me B because that means, hey, I want the 10-day money mindset challenge. Multiply your money mindset challenge is what it's called. But it's a 10-day challenge. I'll give you access to it. Boom, it's amazing. Okay. If you're like, those are really cool, but what I really want to master is my emotions. We talked a lot about confidence on here. We talked a lot about like what's happening and why like even body language is shifted by the internal thinking, right? And so Omar has a training, I think it's like 23 minutes long, and it's emotional mastery, right? It's how you master your freaking emotions. And it is incredible. He goes through like 4 different quadrants and there's all these crazy things that happen in there. But what I'll tell you guys, if you're like, I really want to conquer the self game, this is where I'm at, right? Then this is the training for you. So it's 23 minutes long, and that's C, right? So A, body language for sale. B, you want money mindset 10-day challenge. And C, emotional mastery. Now, I didn't talk to Omar. This is like, you guys see my favorite. It's like 1, 2, 3. And then I wrote a 4 here because Laura asked a really good question. And I was like, we should help people with their questions. So if somebody wants to hang out and say, hey, I have more questions for you guys, and I would love to like kind of ask and kind of brainstorm with you guys. And honestly, I'll be super real. We have so many things that help entrepreneurs. It's ridiculous. So if you hang out with us, we might say, hey, you need this book. We might say, hey, you need this course. We might say, hey, come join our mastermind, because we really do have a really cool mastermind. You don't have to join it, but listen, it's amazing. Okay. And so we have all these really cool things. So if you're in that space and you're like, hey, I would love to hang out with you guys, I'm just going to assume that Omar would be willing to jump on like a 30-minute call with anybody who like wanted to like get some help personalized.
All right. You know what? Let's do it.
He does this to me all the time.
It's
my turn to do it. It's
I will
my turn to do
out.
Listen,
yes.
He told our entire mastermind last month, whoever hits their goals, me and Elisa will give you an extra 3 hours of time. And I was like, you want me to do 3 not sales calls, but like 3 calls, like strategy, like sit down and brainstorm somebody's business with them for 3 hours. We have 40 something people in our mastermind. And he was like, no, you're doing it. And I was like, okay, I'm doing it.
We'll help you do your sales process from A to Z. We'll all the words, all your systems, everything. Yeah. So yes, I will do.
Voluntold. Yes, Amy, he does that voluntold thing really well. Anyway, so I'm volunteering him. Me and him will both jump on a call with you, answer whatever questions you have. But realistically, what we'd be looking at is your business and how you're specifically structured and how we can help you. What's your gifts? What's your unique pitch like on social media? How are you coming in on these things like that? And then obviously your sales conversations, right? So we're just going to look at all that. And if we have resources that can help you, we'll share them with you. If you don't want to hear, we won't tell you. If you want to come to the call and say, listen, don't tell me anything, that's cool too. But we'll just kind of tell you, we'll brainstorm with you. So if you want that, we're going to call it D. And I love it. Personalized help call. Boom. There we go. Joe created the name for it. I loved it. So there you go. A, B, C, and then D is personals. So somebody asked if they could have all of them. Are we okay if they have all of them? You decide.
I'm being volume told right now, so Alyssa,
like,
this is on you.
Okay, I was just thinking that everybody could pick one, but if you want all 3, just text me A, B, C, D, whatever you want, and we'll make sure we hook it up on our back end. Right. So I'll have my assistant.
You guys are getting hooked up because you stayed 20 minutes extra. Way to go.
That's true. Way to go. That's the A team right there. Okay, so yeah, you guys can A, B, C, D, text whatever you want to that number. And you guys, I'm really pumped. I really think that if you can just take a little bit of action, it'll change your freaking life. Like I said, we went from 0 to 150 to 450 to freaking 18K. And there were some ups and downs after that. I'm not saying business was easy all the way through, but we definitely knew how to create thousands of dollars every month after that. And then consistent thousands of dollars every single month, which is really beautiful as well. So thank you guys so much for letting us hang out.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Everybody, give them a round of applause. We sure appreciate all the information they've given us. And 2 weeks from now, they're going to be back. So make sure you're on that call.
So
Have a
take
great night,
action
everybody.
so that when we come back in 2 weeks, you guys are like, look at my results. And then we can teach you deep level stuff, you know, deeper.
Right.
Deal.
Bye, guys.
And everybody save the chat if you need Alyssa's phone number or there's stuff that you want. Just click save the chat or copy and paste.
Boom.